Hey guys, this is your follow along hip flexibility cool down sequence. We're going to start in the lunge position on the right leg. Here I'm trying to think about keeping both hips square, and on the inhale I can rise up, on the exhale I can push a little bit deeper into the stretch, making sure I keep the lower abs engaged and the pelvis tucked under so I feel the stretch through the hip flexors. So it's really important that you keep the pelvis tucked under, the lower abs engaged so you feel stretch through the hip flexors. Once I feel like I've had enough time in that position, I'm then going to take the left hand down. I'm going to bring the right leg up. I'm going to hold the opposite hand on the right leg. And then from there, I'm going to work on pulling the heel towards the bum whilst driving the hips forwards. This should be felt through the quads and again through the hip flexors. As you exhale, open your chest slightly more and draw the heel towards the bum. Once you're happy here, slowly release the foot, slowly bring it back down to the floor. We're then going to go into our kneeling hamstring stretch. So rock the hips back, bring the foot up, and then begin to fold the chest down towards the leg. If you feel some discomfort or some pain in the back of the knee, it can be good to bend the leg slightly. That way you should feel it more through the belly of the hamstring, which is where you want to be feeling the stretch. However, if you do feel it in the belly of the hamstring anyway, feel free to keep that leg nice and straight. Now, if you're pretty flexible, you can now slide into your front split position. I'm not quite there yet, but it's important that when I'm training for my front splits, I try and keep both hips square. You should be feeling this through the hamstrings and the back leg hip flexor. What I like to do to increase my range of motion is just add some side to side movement, and then on the exhale I can draw a little bit deeper into the stretch. Inhale, sit the hips to the right hand side, and then slide the foot round so the foot becomes at a 90-degree angle to the knee. We're then going to go into our pigeon position. So square the hips up. From there, place the hand on both the foot and the knee to keep ourselves in that nice 90-degree position. And this stretch should be feeling through the glutes. Try and draw the back hip towards the floor. And if it gets there, we can then take a nice big inhale and draw our chest down on the exhale towards the floor to increase the stretch through the glutes. From there, take the left hand to the floor on the side. We're now going to work into the outside of the hips, or hip adductors. What we're going to do is sit onto our side, try and draw our hip towards the floor, and keep our torso nice and upright. And we can then work on pulling this leg in towards the body to increase the intensity of the stretch. Then return down to your pigeon, placing both hands on the floor to support yourself. And then what I want you to do is slide the leg so the foot comes all the way under the back of the knee. From there, guys, what's going to happen, we're going to try and draw the back hip down towards the floor so it becomes a nice deep hip capsule stretch, stretching right into the top of the hip flexors. The more upright you keep the torso and the more you drive that back hip towards the floor, the more you'll feel the stretch. Finally, slide yourself back into that pigeon position. and then bring the left leg all the way around. We're now going to work into our hurdle stretch. So here, we're going to bring the palm of the foot all the way to the inside of the thigh, making sure this knee is as low as possible. We're then going to work on keeping this leg nice and straight and folding forwards towards the foot. Not with the head, but with the torso. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, draw the chest down towards the knee. This one should be felt through the hamstring and the inside of the groin. Once you've had enough time in this position, inhale and slowly make your way out the stretch. We're now going to work onto the opposite side. So begin back in your lunge position. This time, bring the left leg forwards. As you exhale, push deeper into the stretch. Once again, you should be feeling this through the hip flexors. It's really important that you keep the pelvis tucked under, lower abs engaged. From there, bring the right hand down, curl the back leg up, take a hold of it with your opposite hand, and then begin to draw the heel towards the bum as you drive the hips forwards. This should be through the hip flexors and predominantly the quads. Chest nice and open, pull the heel towards the bum to increase the intensity of the stretch. And once you're ready, slowly release the foot, bring it down gently towards the floor. We'll now go into our kneeling hamstring stretch. So keeping the toes up, we'll draw our hips back and begin to bring the torso down towards the leg. As mentioned previously, by keeping a soft bend in the knee, you may find that you don't feel it so much in the back of the knee, and you feel it more in the mid portion of the hamstring, right in the belly of the muscle. This is where you want to be feeling the stretch, not so much in the back of the knee. However, if you don't feel in the back of the knee, you can keep that leg straight, no problem. From here, we're going to go into our front splits, or in my case, front split attempt. So we're trying to keep the hips nice and square, keep the hands down to support ourselves. And again, as mentioned before, we can start to shift from side to side to increase the range of motion in this stretch. Try and keep both legs nice and straight. And as you exhale, draw deeper into the stretch. Inhale, slowly sit the hips to the left-hand side, curl the foot round so you come into your pigeon position. Then sit up onto the back hip, take a hold of the knee and the foot, so it's in that nice 90-degree position, and from there we'll work into our pigeon. If you can get the back hip all the way down, once again, draw the chest down towards the floor. That's going to increase the stretch through the glutes. From here, take the right hand towards the side, left hand to support yourself. We're going to come up, stretch out the outside of the hips. The way we're going to do that is by drawing the hip towards the floor, keeping the torso nice and up, keeping the body in a nice side line. And from there, to increase the intensity, we can pull this leg towards the body. This should be felt through the obliques, through the outside of the hips, or adductors, and potentially through the IT band as well. Now bring it back to your pigeon position. What we're going to do here is curl the foot under so that the foot comes in line with the knee. We're then going to try and draw our hips back and draw the back hip towards the floor. To get the full intensity of the stretch, try and keep the torso nice and upright. And exhale to push the hip down further. Once you feel like you can't get any further into the stretch, slide the foot back through, and we're going to finish now back in our hurdle. Okay, this time the right leg slides all the way around. We bring the inside of the foot all the way to the thigh, and from there, keeping this leg as low as possible, we're going to try and drive our torso down towards our knee and work towards the foot. This one should be felt once again through the hamstrings, and if you're quite tight, through the inside of the hip as well. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, draw a little bit deeper into the stretch. Inhale, slowly make yourself back into that top position. And finally, guys, we're going to work on the inside of the hips, starting in our butterfly stretch position. What we're going to try and do is pull our heels as close to our bum as possible. Grasp our hands around the feet, keep them there. From there, we're going to take a nice big inhale, lengthen that spine. And finally, we're going to try and draw our knees down as much as possible. If you feel comfortable after a few breaths here, you can begin to bring your torso forwards, and that's going to increase the intensity of the stretch. Trying to keep that spine nice and long, not hunching yourself over. Once you're happy, inhale, bring yourself back into that top position. We're now going to place the right leg on top of the left leg. So bring that left leg a little bit more central and work on bringing the heel of the right leg all the way into the crease of the left hip. Now, if you're struggling with knee pain in these sort of positions, guys, it can be good to keep the toe flexed towards the shin. That should help you prevent the knee pain. From there, keep the torso nice and upright. And once you're happy, begin to fold yourself forwards. Often what we'll see here, guys, is this knee coming up quite far. So if you need to use the hand to push down this knee, that's absolutely fine. You should be feeling the stretch of the glutes and the piriformis, which lies underneath the glutes. Inhale, make your way back up and swap sides. Try and keep that torso nice and long, not too much hunching. Use the exhale to push deeper into the stretch. Inhale, slowly make your way up and get yourself into your straddle sit position. So legs come nice and wide. Work here on pointing the toes, keeping the knees as low to the floor as possible. We're going to start with our straddle side bends. So from here, guys, bring yourself over to the right foot. Try and keep both hips down to the floor. And this stretch should be feeling through the hamstrings and also through the inner part of the hips. Inhale, let the chest rise. Exhale, draw down towards the leg. Inhale to make your way over to the opposite side. Once again, guys, trying to keep both hips to the floor and both legs as straight as possible. Once you've spent enough time here, inhale, bring yourself back into that top position. We're now going to work into our pancake stretch. So take a nice big inhale. And as you exhale, begin to draw yourself down to that pancake position, making sure you keep the spine nice and long and push the hips back. Once you feel relaxed here, guys, you can take another big inhale, and then you can try and draw yourself all the way down into that bottom position. It's important, guys, that you try and keep the feet turned out, so externally rotate the hips, and also keep the spine nice and long and not hunch over. Should be feeling it through the hamstrings and the inner parts of the hip. Once you've had enough, inhale, bring yourself out of this position nice and slowly. We're now going to go into our frog stretch. So slowly make your way out. Bring your knees onto the mat. From there, we're going to try and bring them legs as wide as possible. And once we're happy, drop down to the elbows, take a big inhale, and then rock the hips back as far as possible. Now, it's important that you don't kill your bum under here, guys. You want to try and keep a nice neutral spine. So if you want to balance a bottle of water on your back, you can do that. Inhale, release some tension. Exhale, draw the hips back, and if possible, draw the knees slightly wider. You should be feeling this a lot through the inside of the hips, especially as you exhale, push deeper into the position. Now let's go into our diamond frog. So we're going to sit our hips forwards first. We're then going to try and bring our feet together, so the palms of the feet touch each other, and we can then rest the chin just on top of the hands, and try and really work on tilting the hips under, drawing our pelvis towards the floor, so we get a really nice stretch through the inside of the hips. Once you're happy here, guys, we're going to work into the final stretch, which is going to be our middle splits, or in my case, middle split attempt. So slowly bring your legs into a nice wide position. From there, push up onto the hands. And we can use the mat for some support, and just work on sliding them feet out as wide as possible without pain. Now it's important here, guys, that you don't sit too far back or too far forwards. So try and keep your hips in line with your feet. The harder it is, the more support you want to be giving from your hands. Inhale, relax. Exhale, try and draw them hips down, bring them feet slightly wider. Once you're done, guys, you can either sit back, or if you feel comfortable, you can inhale and slide the feet all the way up. And that's us for our hip flexibility cool down sequence. Enjoy.